nowadays people see the trades and the service trades as all these are car salesmen, right? So you're walking in and they're like, oh, this guy's going to charge me an arm and a leg to get this done. And they're very standoffish with you. So you're going to deal with customers like that where they just give me the base price, just give me the cost and, do the job, get out of here. So, and then you're going to run into people that are very like, hey, I need, like, we went to a job. We did that water heater for Sarah. Remember, she's like, hey, I make these dog toys, know? And we became great friends with her. Like, we're trying to plan a golf day with her. Yeah. So it's like, you just run into different type of people in the field, and you just got to know how to navigate it, and stick to who you are as a person. I mean, that's the biggest thing for us at Dino is we're really trying to, even though we're growing fairly quick, and there's great reason for it, right? People love our team that we have so far, and we just keep getting calls and people wanting to use us because people in the community are feeling that difference that we're throwing out there, right? But also with it, it's why we're in that little, like, we're stuck of like, we don't want to grow too fast because we want to bring up the right team. We want to have the right people. Like, we get a lot of calls of people wanting to come work for us, but it's like, are they the right fit for what me, you, and Michael are trying to preach, right? Of taking care of the customer, because you're gonna get guys that are like, yeah, I'll do all that, da, 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 da. And then they're just like going to house scare tactic, and then we hear the repercussions of it, like, your guy came in and said if I don't take care of this, he's gonna blow up my house, like, or it's gonna flood and my grandma's gonna die from it. And like, no, that's not how it goes. We want our guys, the team coming up, to be a slow process to, even if they've been a plumber for 30 years, still go through our training process of writing with the techs that we have and learning our process. So it's like, if this is the right fit for you, you feel like you could get on board with our standards and what we're trying to preach, then we'll have you on, right? But we want everyone to get the feel of, like, if me and you were in the field taking care of every single job, we want our guys to be a representation of who Dino is as a company. So yeah, well,
it's essentially a representation of us.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, which is crazy because St. George is a different place in a lot of sense. Like when I came here 12 years ago, it was a very very specific retirement town where people golfed and people were just here to kind of live out their days and enjoy it as much as they possibly could. And now there's young families, a ton of people moving in from California and a whole bunch of other states. And so it's kind of changed that landscape. But I think one of the most apparent things for me when we started this was there was a few instances with my grandma specifically and some of her friends where they got that treatment of, okay, she's elderly, let's take as much as we can from them. And she's had that happen a couple of times. And that absolutely destroys me as a person, but as a business owner too. I mean, there's a whole ethics line that's played in the trades, and really, I think that ethics line should be drawn at they're human, we're human, they're people too, and putting focus on that individual. But St. George it's a different place.
It is different, but like you say, it's community driven, right? I mean, all of St. George is everyone's involved, right? That's the biggest thing, is everyone's involved with everything here. It's still, even with everyone that's moving in, we're still a very small town in the sense of, like, you do one person's house, right? You work on their house, there's like 50 other people that they know that are just in the neighborhood. So you're always running into family, right? And majority of them are family. So it is different. And that's what, I mean, you go to a place like Los Angeles, you do a job, and then you probably won't run into their family member or someone that knows them for quite some time, because it's so big. But like here, it's like you say, it's like most of these people they're retired, they're fixed income. Obviously, like, we see where the economy's going and how crazy things are getting here, even in little old St. George. Like, I've lived in the townhome for the last 5 years. I got 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a wife. Like, we're just squeezed in because even as a plumber, like, it's hard to go get a single family home here. Cause like, man, for us, it's like, we're trying to be a business and make money, right? Obviously we're in business to make money. That's the end goal. But also at the end of the day, we want to treat people right. We want to be able to see them in the store and be like, oh, hey, how you doing, Sarah? How you doing, John? Like, John, like, we did that water here for you, but be at a fair cost, and people still respect us because they got great service. They got, a technician that cared about their house and took care of them, that they're just not in there ripping them off. So they feel good about what they got for the price, right? So we're not the highest. We're not the lowest. We're right in that middle where we're like, well, we know our quality is top notch, right? We're bringing you the best service possible, but also you're getting that for a middle cost instead of a high cost. Cause like that's the thing we saw, right? We worked for a big company, and you start seeing that quality shift, but the people are getting charged the same amount of money. So it's like, you got companies out here that are charging $6,000 for a water heater, and maybe, I don't know, we don't charge that, but maybe there's someone that is just doing the top of the line water heater. I don't know. But if you got a master plumber, right, that's done this for 50 years and he charges you that, maybe, just maybe you feel okay as a homeowner, like, well, I guess he knows what he's doing. But at those companies, you're still going to get a guy that's a first year, just barely started to trade, that's going to charge you the same amount of money. And it's just like, there's a fine line on like where that doesn't make sense, right? Where I just, here you're starting to see a lot of people get taken advantage of, and we're trying to bring back not doing that. But I don't know. It's crazy here.
It's like we're talking about the dollar coffee versus like the feel of coffee, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get what you pay for in a sense, but sometimes that doesn't make sense for everybody. They just want to be treated fairly, have their house treated right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing for us is we still go in and we do things by the book. We do it very properly so that at the end of the day, it's a fair price, but they still get that high end service. So
yeah. And with that too, it's like, we're not cutting corners, it's like you run into it a lot where it's like, oh, dude, we just got a call the other day, right? That sump pump call. You remember that sump pump call? They called us in. We're like, hey, we're moving out. We're closing on this house, right? And he's like, I got a sewer pump in my basement, and I close on this house today. But he's the seller, and he's like, I just need to get it fixed because it burned out. But I had a different company come out and say they want $2,500, and he's like, for a sump pump. So I'm like, well, like, is it for like your sewage? Like your toilets go to this too? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, it's got to be a grinder pump. He's like, I know, but I don't want a grinder pump. He's like, I just want bottom of the barrel. Like, get me a sump pump. It just needs to be able to sell because I put in the paperwork that I took care of it. And I was like, well, it needs to be a grinder pump to get rid of all of that stuff. Like you really like, we have to do a grinder pump. And in your specific case, like that's what needs to happen. And he's like, you can't just do a sump pump, like, and just sign me off, get it done so I could sell this. I said, we're not the right people for you, man. Like I am not cutting corners. Like for one, that's cutting corners for you, but also all I did was set up the next person that owns that house in a bad situation already. So like me, I'm just not going to do it for you, So you run into that a lot where some people are like, well, it's $800. Like we could go get this today, and like, let's just do it. Who cares? We don't know the next people coming in. Where for me, I'm like, I'm not going to do that because it's one bad thing for someone to just go around and be like, oh, these guys, set us up for failure, flooded our house, and they were the last guys to touch it, and they put something in improper, right? So, like, for us, we're not cutting corners. Like, you're going to get top quality and a team that's not cutting corners. So, that's what we're shooting for at the end of the day, right? Where we want to do everything proper, up to code, and charge the right prices for it.